everyone, I'm Mara Levinsky, the senior editor at Soap Opera Digest, and I am so excited to be at General Hospital today with two of my favorite stars, Rebecca Herbst, who plays Elizabeth Weber, and Roger Howarth, who plays Franco Baldwin. Hello to the both of you.
Hello.
Well, to everybody who sent in questions and commented on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, we read it all, and I am going to do the best I can in the next 30 minutes to get into as many of the topics that seem to be of interest to you as possible, and we'll also answer some of your specific questions. So let's dive right in. Going back to the early days of Frizz, it was in the at the tail end of 2015 that the characters struck up their unlikely friendship. They went to the Nutcracker Gala. You'd been on the show together for a few years to that point, but you hadn't really been in one-on-one scenes together. So when you did start working together, how well did you know each other, if at all? Like, do you have memories of each other from before then?
I think we had only worked together once before, and that was when Franco was doing...
Unfortunately Blonde.
Right.
Yes, that's the only thing I remember.
It was like
he
a
was
very
blonde.
quick exchange.
It was the only thing I remember.
But
And then you weren't, you were...
Yeah, and then there were, and then the first, my recollection of that time period is that there was like an awkward fall, right? Didn't Franco?
Oh, when Elizabeth fell down the stairs?
Yeah, and no, not like, oh, please don't die, you fell down the stairs, but like backstage at the nurses' ball or something, at their Nutcracker ball or whatever, right? Am I mixing this up?
you are.
Okay.
Yeah, because that happened later.
That did happen
when
later.
I tripped and you caught me. That was
All right.
the
I think
nurse's
there's
ball.
no need to ask
was
the
the nurse's
question,
ball.
who would do better on a Franco and Elizabeth trivia quiz. I think we just got our answer to that.
Yeah, we
That was
Okay, so
a dress.
Franco was like not the most expected choice, I would say, of a love interest for Elizabeth. So what did you think, Rebecca, when the characters first started hanging out?
Well... I was actually quite excited. I was excited because we had the couple times that we had worked together. It was fun. It was fun. I had a good time. So I was excited to see them pair her with somebody who wasn't the normal Elizabeth choice.
So I think it's fair to say that over the course of the time that they have been together, Franco has changed a lot.
Okay.
Do you disagree?
No, I don't disagree. That would be aggressive. No, I don't disagree at all. I do think that they are still unexpected. I do think that there is still like they're all. I think they're both. Those two people are still surprised by one another.
I agree with that.
But
well, what I was going to ask you is if you welcome the evolution that we've seen him go through, both in and around that relationship, or if it's more fun to play a guy who dumps people at the altar. Right. Do you want the brain tumor back, basically?
Yeah, I'm really hoping for the brain tumor.
That was
they're actually, if they could shoot a scene where they put that back in Franco's head, that would be amazing, because it was like this big. I think I'm not sure how to answer that. I think what I'm pleased by is as he has evolved, it appears that the relationship has gotten stronger, but still remains kind of surprising and interesting, and hasn't kind of plateaued into something kind of like they're still kind of shifting and moving and figuring each other out and how they deal with one another. Which I think is pretty cool.
He's still odd. Franco's odd. He's a weird bird.
Yeah.
A lot of the people that were commenting and sending in questions are ginormous fans of your characters together, but that's not true of everyone. What are your thoughts? Well, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm not surprised. Yeah, people. There's chocolate and vanilla and strawberry, and I think that we try really hard to tell a realistic story about what these two people dealing with one another, but how it's received is beyond our control. And even the Buddha had preferences.
And some people just can't get past what Franco did, or didn't do, but was perceived to have done. And if they've been going along the ride with Elizabeth for the past almost 22 years, then they might not welcome this sort of
Which
character.
has an irony to it, because I do think that these two people, Franco and Elizabeth, they brought a certain amount of history and baggage to the relationship in the beginning, and they have managed to kind of sort through the different parts of themselves, and I think part of what the story is that these complete people, when they're together, show one another their kindest and most gentle parts. And there is kind of a viciousness to I think both of them probably, and they're complete real people who have both behaved poorly, but
This is true.
but are kind to one another, and that's
She disagrees.
That's a good story.
Elizabeth is perfect. So for a long time, we tended to like hear, but not hear about, I guess, and not see Elizabeth's boys. But in recent months, all three of them have been involved in your storyline. What has it been like for the two of you to be working with these three young men who play Elizabeth's sons?
Well, I love that we let him out of the attic. It's
Right,
it's been
right,
nice.
right.
It's nice to not just talk about them and have them with us. And they're all really great.
they're good kids. I feel really fortunate.
Jinx.
Yeah.
No, we're really lucky because they're
I was gonna
they're
say
great
lucky then,
kids.
too. Yeah, they are. They're really good kids, and they work really hard, and they know what they're doing.
And you want to be here,
And yeah.
which is not
And
always the case.
they're not
with
weird
every kid.
showbiz kids. Like they're pretty. At one point I said to William, kind of jokingly, like, you're a really good kid. But now, I mean, maybe you're gonna grow up and be a jerk. And he's like, no, I'm good. I have a good mom.
I have a good
It
mom.
was so sweet. I was like, oh, okay. I guess I'm not so nice.
And their moms are really nice, which
Yeah.
is always a blessing.
Very, very good. I saw a lot of fans wondering what you thought about the possibility, both of you, the possibility of Franco adopting Cameron.
That's a good story.
Mm.
That'd be a good story.
Yeah, I'm lucky didn't ever adopted him.
No.
Okay. Well, then he's free.
Then go for it.
Go for it.
So your characters just got married, as you know. The groom was behind bars at the time, and a lot of fans want to hear your take on their jailhouse wedding.
Oh, that was great.
Why?
You say it was great?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think the point of that story, as I saw it, was that they really cared about one another, and they just wanted to commit to one another and get married, and that's actually kind of a sweet story. That the way that their feelings and their kind of are paramount to the production, and like I'd live with you in a jail cell, or that's.
It was just
That
great
says-
that
that says
it
a lot about
happened.
them. Oh, yeah.
Because we
Yeah,
were
it
just
says-
like, I felt relieved that it was just happening, because I know that there are a few people out there that wanted them to get married, and after the first and second and I don't know how many attempts we had, it was just nice that we were actually doing it.
Would you like to see a more traditional wedding, like a vow renewal or something like that in their future?
For Elizabeth, or does Becky want to see that? Like,
Do you
who
want
are you
to?
asking?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
Oh, I don't think that Elizabeth and Franco desire to have such a traditional celebration. I don't know.
I think they're pleased with the choice that they made. I mean, they made this commitment to one another, and that was the kind of. I mean, I don't know.
I could see them
You'd have to ask the
having a
writers.
party, maybe like a celebratory party.
Yeah.
But I don't think Elizabeth needs another white wedding dress.
Right.
She probably has half a dozen of them.
In the attic, once Cameron
In the
came down,
attic, right.
it made room for her to store all of her old dresses. So they hit a rough patch shortly after tying the knot. I saw some fans who wanted to know, Roger, what you thought about whether Franco really had a choice but to go along with Jordan's plan and conceal it from Liz, or whether she kind of left him no choice.
I think. What do I think about that? I think perception is everything, and if Elizabeth's feelings were hurt by the perception that he had a choice and chose not to, then that's really what's important.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I think that the writers deliberately didn't give Frank. They tried to make the stakes. Yeah, like Franco. Yeah, he did this because he did this terrible thing out of love and affection and worrying about Elizabeth and the boys, and
Mm-hmm.
that their welfare was more important than, which is actually, that's a good story, I think.
Rebecca, sort of a related question. Fans wanted to know your take on whether her anger was justified, or whether her reaction spoke to possibly some unresolved abandonment issues that she may have, given her absentee parents and some of the romantic turmoil that's happened in her life.
Yeah, that's way better story than her, feeling like it was not justified. But I personally feel like it was a little extreme for her to give him such a hard time. But I definitely think that she does have abandonment issues, and at some point maybe they should be resolved.
Mm-hmm. Well, sort of to that point, I saw a theme in the questions and comments that there's so many people who are fans of yours and fans of your characters, and to your earlier point, have been on the journey with her for nearly 22 years. And they would really love to see a Liz-centric, Liz-focused storyline. Mm-hmm. Is that something that you would welcome, and do you have any sort of dream storyline in mind for her?
Of course I would welcome it. But I also understand that sometimes the story is about you and sometimes it's not, and I am okay with that. I think we've all kind of wondered about Elizabeth's past, and we talk about her parents. We've never seen her parents. We don't see her siblings. I think that would be nice to explore for her.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm okay right now. I know a lot of people say that they would like to see Elizabeth's point of view and have her be more front and center. But I feel like the story that revolves around Franco is Elizabeth is as much a part of that story as Franco is, because if there's no Elizabeth, then why do we want to see Franco get out of the bubble wrap or the dog cage?
For sure.
Right? So even though people can be upset that it's a quote unquote supporting character, I'm okay with it. For now, it's goes like this. It's ebb and flow.
Would you like to see her parents possibly come to say hello?
I can stay for 2 days.
I think it would stir up an awful lot in her, and she would be a mess. I think that she has worked really hard to keep this, her strength, and because she's got to take care of these boys and keep her relationship going strong. And I think having her parents show up would probably tear her apart.
Right.
Which would be great.
For sure. What about a story that would revisit her passion for art? That was something that I saw a lot of people commenting on.
Yeah, I think that would be, I've always welcomed that idea. And especially now that she has Franco in her life, I think that would be a lot of fun for them to do together. It would be something that they could do together.
There were moments of it.
Yeah.
In the beginning of their relationship, that was something that they talked about.
Yeah, she even, I remember, she was like, I signed up for art classes.
Oh, right.
Right.
Yes.
But I don't know if she's still in them, personally.
Yeah, no, she's not.
She's not. You don't think so?
No.
Well, now that the kid's down from the attic, she doesn't have as much free time. I guess we'll think about it that way. So, what, do you have any, I know you don't have any say, but do you have any desires of stories that you would like to see the writers tap into where your characters are concerned? Both of you?
That's always a hard question.
Yeah, I'm really, I don't know how to answer that question, because I feel like our job is to just be down for whatever's thrown at us, and I'm sure they'll come up with something. But I'm not qualified to say what anybody should be doing.
Would you like to get into some fan questions?
Sure.
You don't really have a choice, so.
When do we get to say thank you so much for all of your support? And thank you for watching. And should we do that now?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, we're doing it right now.
All right. Brian Mayer on Facebook wants to know how you feel about the prospect of Elizabeth having a child with Franco and further exploring his fear of passing on his genes.
Who are you asking this?
Both of you.
Do we both answer that at the same time?
Yes,
you want
on
them to
three.
Okay.
Should we have a baby or not?
If they make that decision, I hope they explore all of those aspects of what it would be like to be a prospective parent, because those are all really,
Of course,
those would be
Franco
valuable
would be
points
completely freaked out.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting point of view.
Dog
And-
cages
and I know that.
Yeah, oh my goodness.
I know that when Franco and Nina were discussing a baby, that Franco was mortified at the idea, and so it might be a way to kind of represent some growth and how he's different in this relationship and how he's different as a person. Just from Franco's perspective, I can't speak for Elizabeth's. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, Elizabeth has never had a planned pregnancy. So I think this would be, it would just be a different scenario for her. And she's so completely in love with Franco that I'm sure she would love to have a baby girl with him.
Triplets.
Why stop there? Quadruplets.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Do diaper jokes.
Smile Couples on Twitter wants to know, Roger, do you enjoy eating the food props that Franco keeps snacking on?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have a favorite?
Do I have a favorite? Fritos.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of had forgotten how delicious Fritos were, and but they're a part of the vocabulary of snacks here. Like it's Frito
They have them in
centric.
the prop room.
Yeah,
So
and they're
we eat
delicious.
Fritos.
General Hospital and the two of you were featured on Jeopardy a few months back, and Frizz Junkie on Twitter wants to know, what would your co-stars' best category on Jeopardy be? Like, what do you think each other would do well in? Clearly, Franco and Elizabeth trivia, not a good category for you. We learned. But something else. What would she be good at?
Okay, yeah.
Ooh.
What would Elizabeth's?
What would Rebecca
No,
I see.
personally.
excel at?
Oh. Yeah. Come on.
That's
Snack foods.
Snack
Already you
foods,
were
okay. Right.
You know a lot about the Fritos. You have an opinion about that.
All right, you can let that one marinate. Frizz fans on Twitter wants to know, what would be your dream honeymoon destination for Franco and Elizabeth?
Prague.
Why does that tickle you?
It's just it's a funny word, right?
Because how random is that? I don't know.
Well, I know you've enjoyed visiting Prague.
Oh no,
Yourself.
I've never been.
You've never been to Prague?
No, I've
okay.
never been there.
Well, let's get a...
So we should we that'll be the remote.
Right.
I'm sure that's in the budget.
Right. We'll put it out into the universe. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
Audrey on Facebook wants to know what you think is your character's greatest strength and greatest weakness. We can start with Franco. What do you think is his greatest strength and greatest weakness?
Well, they're probably the same thing.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Same thing for me, too.
Jinx. So it would have to be some degree of vulnerability, some kind of blind spot. I don't know. I'm not sure.
What was your answer going to be, Rebecca? The same.
Well, I think her greatest strength is protecting her boys, and she's also the worst at it at times.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I think that's
All right.
that's it.
Fair. All right. So recently we saw Jake and Aiden jump over the back of the living room couch. That's a move we've seen before from Franco.
Yeah.
And LaRonda Banner on Twitter wants to know, how did that come about and whose idea was it? The jumping over the couch, was that a you thing or is it in the script?
I want to say that the first time it was in the blocking that Frank Valentini was directing.
As a a director.
I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm. And do you know when the boys did it?
I think they did it because it took too long for them to run around the couch, and it was just easier for them to go over the couch.
Okay.
And of course, I can't hide my reaction of like, oh my god, they have shoes on the couch. Like but they continue to do it, and people think it's funny.
You know, that question reminds me of a question I was curious to know the answer to, which is there was a scene where your characters were playing rock, paper, scissors in the kitchen in the background. What's the backstory on that?
I think I just looked at the monitor or you looked at the monitor.
No,
so one of us knew that we were.
We were in the background. I didn't know. It was you.
Clip.
It was not me. It was you. And we go into the kitchen, and he says, "Let's play rock, paper, scissors." What? To see who does the dishes. I'm like, what? Oh, you like? We're done. Like this is.
No. We're in the background. You
Look
can
up.
kind of
There's
see.
no ceiling.
Yeah.
Like, there are no dishes to actually do.
Come on, we can upstage somebody and be rude
so
actors.
we did, and I can't believe people actually saw it. It was that was funny.
That's funny.
It was fun.
All right, Sin on
I think I
Instagram.
won. I'm pretty sure I won.
You didn't win.
Well, there was
So
some
did you
discussion
wash the
about whether,
dishes?
like, when you actually throw the sign. I don't know, maybe it's East Coast, West Coast thing, but I seem to remember, like, it's. Do you? No, I'm not trying to start a gang war. I'm just saying, like, you go 1, 2, 3, shoot, or 1, 2. I don't know.
No, it's 1, 2, 3, shoot. I think universally.
Okay.
I don't actually think I've ever played it before, so
Rock,
I
paper,
can't
scissors?
I can't get right. Maybe,
Okay,
maybe afterwards.
afterwards.
Indeed. All right, it's on. All right, Sin on Instagram wants to know what is the storyline that you think would be interesting, where Franco and Liz actually knows what the other person is doing. So I guess a story where no one's keeping anything from someone else, which is such a classic.
Oh, well, what fun is that?
Well, I don't think they're keeping any secrets from one another at the moment. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's a secret even from the viewers that only you know.
Maybe we just.
I mean, the hesitation in answering is to avoid talking about what the future story might be. So
Sure.
We've been advised to not answer that question.
Okay, fair enough.
We're gonna keep that a secret from you.
Okay, all right. It hurts, but I understand.
Oh, now you know how I feel.
So a lot of people also wanted to know if you have favorite Frizz moments or scenes that you've played over the years. Clearly, the non-existent fall at the Nutcracker Gala is
No,
close to
the
Roger's
reason I was
heart.
going to tell that story is I did so, like, we had to take that like 10 times because I kept screwing it up, and I just felt terrible because I was like, I can't get this right, and she's actually falling.
It was really
because I couldn't
uncomfortable.
catch her, and it was really awkward, and I did a terrible job. So I just thought I'd remind everybody of
Because
that.
you wanted me to fall
I wanted you to fall.
higher up. No, you said you didn't want me to fall so close to the ground because you didn't want to have to pick me up so close to the ground.
Oh, I think
So
probably.
you were wanting me to like project myself out that way.
Clearly, it was my fault.
And you were gonna catch me.
I'm really sorry. I mean, this is a good
Which
opportunity
was-
for me
It's
to
a great
apologize.
opportunity in front of all the people.
Yeah, do some repair. I'm sorry that
That was an awkward moment.
Yeah.
That was at a nurse's ball.
That was the nurse's ball.
So that was not one
That
of the
was-
favorites, I guess. I like the moments of there's a humanity, the way they deal with one another. I think is really, and I think it's our job to find one or more of those in the course of 6 acts. And I think it's been kind of fun to try and sort out, well, when are they going to be human beings and not have it be about the story. And so I think we do an okay job with finding those little that to me that's the answer to what my favorite thing is. Because there would be one.
I don't really remember the question. Sorry.
Favorite scenes or moments? From,
The favorite task is to try and find a moment. It's not
Okay.
that those are my favorite moments. It's that this is the task of the actors to try and I think it's kind of it's
people.
neat to be playing characters that are written with that in mind, where they are trying to they're not always plot centric. And it's not like those kind of quiet moments and looking for keys, or I don't even know what it would be, but the fact that the writers attenuated and kind of stretched out the courtship, I thought was like a really smart thing to do, because I think that it allowed the audience to maybe get to know these people and watch them get to know one another in a it wasn't a 3-week arc.
My favorite moments are mostly happen in the kitchen when he takes the coffee out of my hands and drinks it, or they handed him a to-go cup, or there's just like natural personal interaction that normal people
it's true.
do.
And that's easier to find those in rehearsal and talk about them and make sure that they happen in that set than it is in the hub, because there's nothing personal about the hub or the police station. Or some of those,
kitchen I like though.
Although it's a good question. Like, where do they eat? Does Elizabeth have a dining?
Yeah, I was mentioning this to Roger before we started that
they just eat
they have a kitchen, but then there's no dining room
it's
table.
Off, like if you're staring at the sink, it's off to the right.
Okay.
Did you miss it?
All right. Well, that makes more sense than what Roger's original answer to me was, which is they eat in the hospital garage. So follow you.
Not a well thought out answer.
Sure, fair enough. I saw several people, Roger, who were curious to know in the therapy scenes between Franco and Ryan that your gaze was fixed a lot of the time on a statue that was on the desk.
Yeah,
Does that mean anything to you, or what was behind that?
I don't mean to be flip or dismissive of a clearly well thought out question, but it was just a case of it being downstage, because sometimes in daytime television there are those moments where one person is facing this way and the person in front of them is facing the same way. And we needed that to tell that story, because it was and Franco needed to be kind of preoccupied with something to allow him to get to the headspace where he would discover these things. And it was really simple, like, I just didn't need it to look downstage, and that thing was a prop, so we just put it a little further over. And then it kind of had a life of its own after that kind of it became something that I think was written, or I forget. But yeah, that was the big inspiration, was that it was downstage.
Okay.
But after that, it became invested. It became this thing that Franco would use as a focal point to kind of get him.
What happened to your rabbit's foot?
Oh yeah, that's right. Franco walked around for like 9 months. Franco had a rabbit's foot and a painting of two boys or something.
A photograph, a painting, and a rabbit's foot walk into a bar. Yeah. Gosh, I just lost my train of thought. What was I gonna? Oh, I was gonna ask you. You said, you find those moments in rehearsal. When you get to rehearsal, do you have ideas in mind? Oh, maybe I could do this here, maybe I could do that there, or is it stuff that you just kind of figure out in the moment?
Oh, I think we're both too geeky to find stuff in the moment. I don't think that's a good skill. Like I really like rehearsal. I really like for us to be specific and know what and when and down to all of those little things.
It's not always true.
It's not always true.
It's not always
Give
true.
me an example of that not being true.
That great orange debate, the tangerine, the tangerine story. I think you
this is like a grassy knoll.
Yeah, and you shared your story, I think.
What?
With I think he said it was we had planned it out that he was gonna put that orange in my mouth before I had a monologue, and I'm pretty sure that was not discussed.
Okay, so it was discussed. It was not discussed with you. It was discussed between the guy who signs my checks and me, who said to me, "You're going to put that orange in her mouth, right?" Did you not know that?
What?
Wow,
that was
it's all coming out.
That came from the boss. Yeah, I swear to you.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I can't believe you just did that.
It was either that or not work for 4 months. Sorry.
All right, you owe him an apology, apparently.
Again.
Casting aspersions. Well, very sad to say that we are just about out of time. So I do want to say that probably the number one question is people wanting to know what is coming up next for for Franco and Elizabeth. So what can you tease for us about the next step of their journey?
Do you want to answer this?
No, you can.
Oh,
I don't want to
thanks.
get in trouble.
One of their many children will present them with a very specific challenge. Parenting, their parenting skills will be tested.
A couple of the children.
Yeah, and
May be involved.
it turns out Franco's not an awesome parent right out of the gate.
But he thinks he is, which might be one of the problems.
All right, I'm not surprised to hear that whatsoever.
Yeah.
Well, this was so much fun. I really want to thank you and thank everyone who sent in questions and comments, and be sure to keep watching them on
Thank you
General
so much for
Hospital.
watching.
Yes, and I'm going to see if I can't get them to answer a few more questions, so look out for that in the Soap Digest. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.